What's up, guys? We got cut short in class today, so I just wanted to make a video kind of going over what you guys need to know for tomorrow for your test and what is due tomorrow. So I'm extending the due dates for your notebooks, okay? If you have a question about the notebook or you don't understand anything, please email me. If you are a virtual student or you're at home for whatever reason right now, you need to take pictures of your notebook and submit them via Google Classroom. If you're an in-class student, meaning you're an A-day student or a B-day student and you actually physically come to school, A-day students, you need to bring your notebooks tomorrow and turn them in. B-day students, you're going to bring those on Thursday and on Thursday when you come to class. What am I looking for? You need to have a title page on your notebook, which we've been over this before. A title page, table of contents. You should have the high-risk population activity in your notebook. And then you should also have the TCS food activity in your notebook. Okay, so those are going to be due. Make sure you bring them to class, and or if you are a virtual kid, put them on Google Classroom. My B-Day kids, make sure you bring my A-Day kids, make sure you bring your study questions and your case study that we went over in class today. Make sure you bring that to class tomorrow as well. Again, if you're virtual, then you should have already done it, but if you haven't done so already, submit those via Google Classroom. All right, your test is tomorrow. So what do you need to know for your test tomorrow? We went over the short answer in class, and we started going over stuff. So remember your class, all students are taking the test tomorrow. If you are at home, you're going to take it via Edulastic. And if you're in class with me tomorrow, the 8A kids will also take it via Edulastic in class tomorrow. Bring your laptops to school with you. So what do we need to know? Let's see. Some of the stuff we've already gone over. 2 or more people to be considered an outbreak. Remember, you have biological, physical, and chemical contaminants, or our 3 types of contaminants. You're going to make sure that you store chemicals away from food, which makes sense. You're not going to have your in your pantry be storing chemicals and food. Chemicals have to be kept away from food at all times. You need to make sure that you are practicing time temperature control with food. So if it says how can food become unsafe, poor personal hygiene, cross-contamination, and time temperature control are all ways that food could become unsafe. Also make sure that you are purchasing your food from reputable sources. That's another way that food could possibly become unsafe is if you don't know where you're getting your food from. We use the example in class like Salvo's Seafood. Salvo's, they know where they're getting their seafood from. They're not buying it from some guy randomly off the side of the road, selling it out of his truck. Because if you get your food from unsafe sources, meaning they don't get inspected regularly and stuff like that, the food can make you sick. You need to know your time temperature danger zone. Obviously 41 to 135 is the numbers for that. If you don't want food to get in between those 2 numbers, because that's the time temperature danger zone where bacteria can grow and pathogens can grow on food and make people sick. What else we got? You need to know your high-risk populations and why they're high risk. Elderly is because their immune systems have weakened. Preschool-age children, it's because their immune systems have not built up yet long enough. After you touch your hair, face, body, obviously you need to wash your hands before you fool with food again. Before going to the restroom, you're going to make sure you take off your apron. Anytime you leave the kitchen, your apron needs to come off. You cannot have your apron on. And leave the kitchen and go to the bathroom, take out the trash and all that with your apron on. That's gross. Your apron, your jacket, all that kind of stuff needs to come off before you leave the kitchen. You're not going to eat, drink, smoke, chew gum, any of that kind of stuff while you're prepping food. Makes sense. We didn't specifically go over that, but you should know that. You're not going to be drinking, eating, and then making sandwiches and that kind of stuff for customers. That's gross. You need to know what cross-contamination is. Let's see. Again, the 41 to 135 is your time temperature danger zone. What else we got on here, guys? Before starting work for the day, you need to wash your hands. That's a given. You need to know what can, the whole slide, I think it's like the 3rd slide, where it's risk to a foodborne illness. Like if somebody gets sick at your restaurant, what kind of risks are that as far as your business goes? Lawsuits, negative media, decreased customer sales, your insurance premiums can go up and all that stuff. Physical hazard is anything physically in food. Chicken bones, Band-Aids, hairs, metal. Chemical hazards, any kind of chemical being in food. Remember, toxic metal leaching is also an example of a chemical contaminant. Parasites. Parasites are bugs. This is the one I started to go over in class and then the bell rang. Parasites are like bugs. Bugs are commonly associated with Produce. Produce is like lettuce. You don't typically find bugs in mushrooms. You don't typically find bugs in molds. Typically, mold is like if you have like a rotten orange or something and it's growing on it, that's a fungi. You don't typically find bugs, worms, that kind of stuff in dairy products. You could, but it's rare. Typically, you can find bugs and parasites and that kind of stuff in produce. Like if you bust open a head of lettuce, so you bust it open, it could have bugs in it. Apples, a bad apple, you've heard of worms growing in apples. That would be a parasite. What else we got? And you just need to know the Department of Agriculture inspects food, the FDA inspects food. Specifically, the Department of Agriculture inspects meat, poultry, and eggs. The Food and Drug Administration inspects all food and drugs except for meat, poultry, and eggs. That's the United States Department of Agriculture. And you got the Center of Disease Control, which is the CDC, which y'all should know by now. They investigate foodborne illness outbreaks and any kind of outbreaks of disease, hence like with COVID. And just basically know how to wash your hands and what cross-contamination and cross-contact is. And other than that, you shouldn't have any trouble. And just make sure you go over the short answer that we went over in class today. If you have any questions, problems, let me know. And we'll kind of try to recap or review before you take your test tomorrow as well. Hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, and I will see my A kids tomorrow and my B kids and my virtual kids on the Google Meet tomorrow. Bye guys, y'all have a great one.